They say you can see the future in the palm of your hand. Behold, JVC's smallest camcorder ever, with all the right features, from full-range autofocus to low-light sensitivity to title graphics. Plus, it easily plays in your VHS VCR. So at a mere 26 ounces, the future really is in the palm of your hand. JVC, we just made recorded history again.
Camera's coming at you. This is your opening. This is your big cha-cha. Okay. All right, Matt.
Hi, I'm Matt York, publisher and founding father of Videomaker magazine. To date, we've been strictly a paper magazine, but as of now, we are a videotape magazine. By watching this tape, you are participating in a revolution, a video camera revolution to be exact. Never before have so many people been able to produce video programs. Our goals are to identify trends and to give the best information to train you to become a better video maker. We've been publishing Videomaker, the paper magazine, since 1986. Conveying information about lighting, camera movement, and editing is very difficult when we're stuck with the limitations of paper and ink. Still photographs, illustrations, and printed words are difficult tools to use to convey this kinds of information. This tape should show all the details. From the experts of Videomaker, all of the editors will show you exactly how to produce the best videotapes possible. One of the greatest things about a paper magazine is random access. You can get to any point at any time very easily within the medium. We've constructed this videotape so that we can do our best to duplicate that random access feature. Each segment has been color-coded, so by pushing the fast forward or rewind button on your video cassette recorder, you should be able to search for the color that corresponds to the segment that you're looking for. Unlike other video programs you've ever seen, we are not going to go out of our way to hide the fact that we are now producing a videotape and you are now watching a video program. In fact, we're going to go out of our way to illustrate that, and we're going to do that a couple of different ways. First, I'm going to show you the cameraman by using this mirror. There's the gentleman who's actually shooting the video program. But seeing this is a high-tech program, we really should use a little more high-tech device. So what I've got in my hand here is the world's smallest video camera. And right now I'm pointing that camera at the cameraman, and you're going to probably see a signal that's being fed to another VCR. You know, here at Videomaker, we are experts at video production. We have been under a great deal of pressure to produce a videotape with the highest production qualities. But after further consideration, we are under no pressure at all because you are all video makers yourselves. There's no need for us to hide the details or to fool you in any way, shape, or form. In fact, if we make any mistake at all, you more than anyone else know that we can always edit this. Can we edit this?
Matt, we can edit anything.
I knew we could edit that. Now seriously, sit back and enjoy the first videotape for Videomakers by Videomaker. The table of contents will assist you in the random access of each of the segments of this tape. Numbers, in addition to colors, will allow you to identify the segments as you scan and fast forward or rewind. Number 1 is A Tip a Minute with Dave Welton. Number 2 is Documentary Realities with Chris Curtis. Focus your camera on a subject like never before. Number 3 is Lighting Takes Shape with Jeff Teeter. Don't just ask for a light, put it to work for you. Number 4 is Desktop Video Magic with Loren Alldrin, making contact with video's computer connection. Number 5 is News in the Video Making with Peter Quinn Hackus, how to capture and profit from a valuable news story. Number 6 is Smooth Moves with Bob Marshall. Handheld camera technique, step by step. And finally, number 7 is Show and Tell with yours truly, Matt York. Products on parade at the Consumer Electronics Show.
Hi, I'm Dave Welton, technical editor for Videomaker magazine, with a tip to make your video making more enjoyable. Groping for the fade button or manual focus override while shooting can result in a fumbled shot. Newer camcorders have fingertip readable bumps and shapes that help in locating important controls, but many are very subtle and difficult to find. Here's a simple way to mark your camcorder buttons for easy fingertip recognition. Velcro is an innovative fastener with limitless applications. Because it's available with adhesive backing, it's perfect for sticking to a camcorder. Available in pre-cut dots or cut into custom patches, attach directly to the button or place immediately adjacent on the camcorder body. Both the abrasive hook portion and the smoother loop side can be used to distinguish different controls. Felt can also be used. And that's our tip for this time. I'm Dave Welton for Videomaker magazine.
Hi, I'm Chris Curtis, staff videographer for Videomaker magazine. Documentary video making is perhaps the most common use for the video camera. Essentially, when you turn that camera on, you're documenting anything that takes place. When you're making a documentary, though, you rarely have the opportunity to control either the people or the event that you're shooting. By definition, a documentary presents factual information. It's real in the sense that the events actually happened. But it's more important that it's reality filtered through someone's mind. By applying proper camera techniques, you can capture the essence of the events that you're recording. Whether it be a wedding, a vacation, an insurance claim, a disaster, or a funeral, there are a few techniques that will separate a really successful video maker from the millions of camera users. One of the basic rules of good documentary video making is to have little or no impact upon the people or events being recorded. Strive to be as benign or transparent as possible. People will act differently if they know they are being recorded. A good example of a total failure for me occurred in Vietnam. My presence as a rather large American video cameraman was very interesting to the Vietnamese. So interesting, in fact, while I was taping them, they began to tape me. I wound up on the evening news. Well, Jane Fonda and Tom Hayden got divorced.
It is very important to be as unobtrusive as possible. Try to blend into the environment. I was particularly successful when I recorded the largest gathering of Hmong Laotians celebrating New Year's here in the United States. Several news crews came to record the event, but the Hmong people were uncomfortable and initially refused to allow any video crew to tape the celebration. After an hour or so, all the crews left except me. I was able to blend into the environment by allowing the people to acclimate to me and my camera. Being familiar with their culture also allowed me to engage in conversation with them, which in turn assisted me in winning their trust. After a few days of just observing the events with no video recording, I was granted permission to record all I wanted. Sometimes documentary video making is not so festive. While shooting the Hot Shots, the elite firefighting team in Yellowstone Park, I also had to win their trust and acceptance. The women on the crew were sensitive and reluctant to allow me to videotape them. I spent 3 days with the crew, often risking my safety before I was accepted, and I was allowed to interview the women.
You really get to know the people that you work with, and it's not just 1 year, it's year after year. You know, you meet the same people, and you get close to those people and you trust them.
In addition to being accepted by the people, it is important to adjust to the environment. Videotaping firefighters using their chainsaws at night was dangerous and technically difficult. The only available light was from the fire itself. With large fires, the amount of carbon monoxide in the air is at a toxic level. I became somewhat disorientated after a few days in the smoke. Adjusting to the environment is an emotional challenge to the video maker. Sometimes it's more complicated than the people acclimating to the cameraman. Maintaining a professional, objective attitude is sometimes difficult when you are videotaping emotionally charged events. It is essential to try not to get involved in the event being recorded. Allow the process to unfold in front of you.
Once while I was taping a birth, I was so amazed at the moment of birth that I was really tempted to take my eye off the viewfinder. Had I done that, I would have surely made some error in recording this glorious moment when this baby made its way into the world. Birth is only the beginning of the emotionally charged events in life. Although the videotaping of a funeral is not all that common, it is becoming more accepted. Trying not to be unobtrusive in this environment is of particular importance because most of the people attending the event are under emotional duress. I made the mistake of attempting to videotape the funeral of a close friend of mine. I was so involved in this event that I did a really poor job of videotaping. My camera stayed on a tripod. Fortunately, another cameraman was there with his equipment. Since he was not close to my deceased friend, he was able to remain objective, and he captured the funeral like a professional. Videotaping medical procedures can be a bit intimidating emotionally for the first few times. It's a little scary to be in an operating room. It's also easy to feel awkward when you are invading the privacy of a patient who's not fully dressed. To most people, the entire medical profession is intimidating. A good cameraman will not let these emotions detract from the job at hand. Like any documentary subject, it is important to filter out the things that you feel are not relevant and to focus on the images that you think are essential. Although the medical professionals work with this subcorporeal shockwave lithotripter, I was amazed by it. I asked them if there was some way we could illustrate what it does to a kidney stone in the human body. A few weeks later, they surgically removed a stone from a patient. They placed it in a plastic bag and then zapped it with a lithotripter. This is a good example of a personal interpretation of an otherwise mundane-looking procedure. Like medical work, documenting an insurance claim can be intimidating and vague. I didn't enjoy videotaping this mentally handicapped man, but it was essential that I do a good job so his attorneys could use the video in court. Not only was it uncomfortable, but like the shockwave lithotripter, it was hard for me to actually convey what exactly was happening. All I could do was to ask him some questions to best illustrate how mentally impaired he was. Once again, I was extremely uncomfortable, but I documented his condition in the best way I could. Although disasters are usually rare and brief, by studying them we hope to learn more about why they happen and how to prevent them. Consequently, video cameras appear in abundance quickly following a disaster. While I was taping the aftermath of the San Francisco earthquake of 1990, there was so much going on that I had a hard time trying to figure out what was relevant and what was not. In a disaster, often the best source of information is the police and fire crews. When developments take place, they are the first to be called to the scene. Often, the facial emotions of the people are the most valuable images to capture to best convey the reality of the event. Fortunately, all video documentary is not so emotionally draining. Occasionally, we get to videotape an exotic sailing service in the Caribbean. The same rules apply. Filter out the things that are irrelevant and focus on the imagery that best conveys the experience. Weddings are probably the most extensively documented events in the country today. Wedding video production is a topic worthy of an entire program in itself, but it is important to point out that a wedding is very much like the previous examples, with one major exception. The process is planned and much more predictable. Well, most of the time it is.
Light reveals. Light defines. Light creates mood, atmosphere, drama, and when consistently controlled, light lends a sense of style. In the production of creative images, light is our most fundamental tool. I'm Jeff Teeter, lighting consultant for Videomaker magazine. When I was asked to do this program on lighting, it took me quite a while to figure out just where to start. I decided I would start with bad lighting. Don't worry. If your indoor nighttime images look like this, it's not your fault. This is the culprit. The people who sold you this technological miracle, the camcorder, made it convenient for you to attach a light. But when you did, your images looked artificial, flat, hard, and glary. And your subjects felt like victims. The people who sold you this light are not bad people, and this lighting instrument is not a bad lighting instrument. As a matter of fact, it's the one that I'll be using as a basic raw light source throughout this program. The answer to most lighting problems is not to be found in changing the instrument, but rather in shaping and controlling the raw light emitted from the instrument. You can modify and shape the light emitted from almost any instrument on the market today. Gaffer tape, spring clips, and adapters are readily available for this purpose. Through the use of these mounting devices, this instrument easily accepts such light shaping accessories as diffusers, umbrellas, and backlights. This particular instrument is a focusing spot. When I turn this knob here on the side, you can see the bulb moving out and then moving back into the reflector. This allows me to vary the intensity of the light without moving it closer or further from the subject. What I'd like to show you first of all today is how to use this one instrument still mounted on the camera to go from this bad harsh lighting. I'm going to zoom it back. We get some secondary light bounced off the ceiling, bounced off the walls. The shadows aren't as hard, it's not quite as glary, it's a little more comfortable for my friend Gus here. And then we can diffuse it even more. John, the diffuser please. This is a lighting diffuser. It spreads the light out even more. It lowers the intensity, but it allows us to have even more pleasant lighting. The next step is to get this light up off the camera so we're not shining the light right in the subject's eyes. This is really important. It simulates the sun, skylight, a little bit more natural. The manufacturer of this lighting instrument makes a handle, and I've added that along with a total-tilder to get the light up off the camera, to get it up where the sun would be. And when we light Gus up here, it looks a little bit more natural. The shadow under his chin is kind of where the sun would put it outside, and we don't have that light glaring in the eyes. Sometimes we can only go so far with controlling the quality of light as long as the light mounted on the camera is aimed directly at the subject. If we look at the environment, in a lot of homes we have an 8-foot white ceiling, much like this piece of foam core that I've mounted above Gus here. If we take our light and tip it back and bounce that light off the ceiling, it becomes much more environmental. Now you've noticed on the camera that the light level is a little bit low. If I zoom this in, so I narrow the beam pattern and make it a lot brighter on the ceiling, we have a lot more atmospheric kind of lighting. It looks a lot more natural. It bounces off the walls, it bounces off the ceiling, it lights up the background as well as the subject. We don't have any harsh shadows. And it simulates that overcast that you get on some days outside where the light is kind of a wraparound sort of lighting. Okay, John, the bank light. The use of a mini bank light is the way I prefer to modify the light when I'm restricted to using a single light mounted on the camera. By zooming in and out, I can vary the intensity on Gus, and I also get a sparkle in the eye that I don't get when I bounce the light. Once we get that light off the camera and onto a tripod or into a friend's hand, we move into the world of professional lighting. The name of each light is defined by its function, and if we only have one light off the camera, that's the key light. Zachary and Gloria are going to help me demonstrate key lighting, fill lighting, backlighting, and background lighting to you today. I've chosen a silver umbrella to shape the light from our key light source in this scene today. The quality of this light enhances the mood of the scene. We don't want any harsh shadows, we don't want any glaring light sources on this rather serene subject. The placement of the key light should be 15 to 45 degrees off the axis of the camera. This can be on the right or the left. Here we've chosen the left. I'm also adjusting the light so it's 15 to 45 degrees above the horizontal. Remember, the quality of this light sets the mood of the scene. Is it hard or soft? Bright or less intense? What's the angle? How broad's the beam pattern? And what color is it? Our second light is called the fill light. It's used to bring out shadow detail and decrease the overall contrast of the scene. Traditionally, the fill light is positioned on the opposite side of the camera from the key light and lower. It's less intense and more diffused so that the edges of the shadows it casts will be less noticeable to the camera. We want that key light to be dominant. The use of this small bank light gives me just the subtle effect I want. The third light in the traditional three-point lighting setup is the backlight. It's placed above and behind the subjects and illuminates the top edges. In portraiture, this is also called the hair light. It can be placed to one side or the other, but I've used a small strip light here today to kind of give a wraparound backlighting effect. The main purpose of this light is to help separate the subject from the background. To bring out the texture and character of the background itself, I'm going to add a small background light. Always remember, backlights illuminate the backs of subjects. Background lights illuminate the fronts of backgrounds. Because we're using a translucent screen in the background in this scene, I'm not going to use a traditional background light. I've snuck around behind the screen and added a colored gel to this instrument. This is an accent light. Its purpose is to call attention to an area or object in the scene. It seemed to me our background screen needed a little bit more color, a little bit more warmth. All right, we have lights. We're ready for a camera and action. Well, that about wraps it up for our segment on lighting. Thank you for joining us. I'm Jeff Teeter for Videomaker magazine.
Welcome to our desktop video segment. My name is Loren Alldrin. I'm the technical editor for Videomaker magazine. In the next few minutes, you and I are going to be exploring how the computer-to-video link can impact your video productions. Desktop video, or DTV, is a buzzword you've probably been hearing a lot lately. It's an area of rapid growth in video production. But what is desktop video? We can define it simply as any application where a computer aids in your video production. That can include titling, editing, multimedia, script and storyboard preparation, animation, the list goes on. That just scratches the surface. Today we're going to be focusing on ways that the computer's video itself can be used in your productions. We're going to be exploring this on the three most common platforms used, including the IBM compatible realm, the Commodore Amiga, and the Apple Mac II. Unfortunately, computers and video speak two totally different languages. All we have to take is a composite video cable like this and a computer monitor cable, and we can see these two need a translator. That's where hardware devices such as encoders, digitizers, and gen locks come in. Now these devices can be external, like this encoder, or they can be internal, like this plug-in digitizer. Now these video translators bridge the gap between the video that you see on your computer monitor and the video that you see coming off your television. Now the simplest application is called encoding or scan conversion, and what it does is simply convert your computer video to standard NTSC signal. All you have to do is plug a regular video cable into your encoder and you're on your way. Let's say, for example, I had created a really neat computer graphic that I wanted to use in my video production. All I have to do is point a camcorder at the screen, right? Let's focus it up here, and that doesn't look so good. Let's take a look at the same computer video recorded the right way with an encoder. The next level of sophistication involves the Genlock or overlay card. Not only does this device allow a computer and another video source to speak the same language, it gets them into perfect sync. Such a high-tech device doesn't have to be large, as this Amiga-based AmiGen illustrates. The Genlock combines computer-generated text or graphics with any other video signal from, say, a camera or a VCR. You've seen it a million times on scrolling production credits and News at 6 logos. Here's one I've always wanted to see. Good morning, I'm Loren Alldrin, and this is News at 2:47. Why not? Who says news has to occur on the hour? Let's take a look at how this title was created. Here's what the Genlock sees from the computer. A basic black background, and our text down in the lower left corner. What the Genlock allows to happen is the background is replaced with our live video, just like that. Now this Genlock, the AVC Media Mixer, uses this pop-up menu to control all its functions. By far the Genlock's most common application is titling. The computer is capable of generating an infinite number of snazzy fonts and type styles, and they can be enhanced with outlines and shadows. Here's an example of some text created on the Amiga. As you can see, adding effects like outline, drop, and cast shadow with InnoVision's broadcast titler really bring titles to life. Pro Video Post from Sheriff Systems adds some digital effects. Wow! Digitizers and encoders allow video to be enhanced or generated by the computer, but they don't actually convert NTSC video into a digital form. In other words, the video with a Genlock is just kind of passing through and can't be directly manipulated by the computer. That type of control requires a digitizer or frame grabber, a device that actually converts the NTSC signal into a digital form. And that computer picture can be manipulated like any other within the computer. So let's digitize an image and have some fun. This camcorder is pointing at a Videomaker magazine cover. It's also plugged into an Amiga digitizer by Digital Creations called DCTV. Grabbing this image is as simple as pressing a key. This is an example of a slow scan digitizer, and it requires a few seconds to convert the image. Digitizers capable of capturing a video frame in 1/30th of a second while the tape is rolling are called frame grabbers. They're a little bit more expensive, but a lot more convenient. Now the picture is in digital form. I can eliminate the color, add some tint, increase the contrast. Now this modified picture can be used for, say, a background for titles. I mentioned that digitizers and frame grabbers tend to capture one single video frame at a time. But what if we had the computer power to capture live video 30 times a second? A recent newcomer to the desktop video hardware fray makes this possible. Called a live motion video board, it actually captures the video image in real time, 30 times a second, and displays it on your computer monitor. I've got Videologic's DVA 4000 board installed in this Mac too. And as you can see, that's live video. There I am. I can make this window any size I want, even as small as a postage stamp. I think I look better in that size. Any kind of computer presentation, from sales to training, can benefit from this technology. The output from a VCR, a camera, or laser disc can be combined with computer animations, titles, sounds, to create a really powerful impact. That's the essence of multimedia. Well, that about wraps it up for now. We've had a whirlwind tour of encoders and genlocks and titling, digitizers, frame grabbers, and live motion video boards. I hope you feel like you have a better grasp of desktop video, which is the most happening area of video production right now. And I hope you've had fun. I know I have. Thanks for joining me.
You're about to learn how to find out where news events are happening, how to shoot them properly, and then where and how to sell that footage and make some money. Now, about 1.5 million new camcorders will be sold in the United States this year, and everyone who owns one has the potential for capturing a newsworthy event, like this enormous fire that happened recently, on video. And television stations will want that footage for their evening news shows. So how do you react if you're out with your camera and something does happen? Is this your reaction? Or do you roll tape? By recording the event, you may have just paid for your complete video outfit with one big news story. There are independent companies across the country whose existence banks on the fact that they can cover fast-breaking news stories and then sell that footage to local and national news operations.
Base Unit 3, Central Library is on fire.
This is the office of Southern California News Service, one such independent that delivers hundreds of news stories every year. Knowing how these independent companies function and the rules they use in covering their stories will help you learn what to do when shooting your first story. The only tools you need to have are a video camera, tape, and a little luck. However, being in the right place at the right time is really beating the odds, so a few other basic tools will be helpful and can be a lot of fun, too. Police and fire scanners will let you listen to all the action. That's how the professionals at SCNS and TV stations find the stories. These scanners are available in your local electronics store. The prices and features vary, but most are programmable and can monitor up to about 300 channels. This handheld model will scan up to 50 channels very quickly, and most units can be powered by your car battery. Here are a few general rules which, if practiced at home, shooting family and friends, should make your home movies look better, not to mention more pleasant for everyone watching. Learn to shoot according to these basic guidelines, and that'll make your news footage more saleable, not to mention more rewarding when you see it on the local newscasts. Always shoot an establishing shot, called a wide shot or long shot. This will provide an overview of the scene. It should be the first shot you take, though not necessarily. If something important is happening, concentrate your efforts there. But don't forget to go back and get the wide shot. Hold your establishing shot at least 20 seconds without moving. Keep your camera steady and don't make quick or jerky moves. When you pan, keep your shot static, that's without moving, for a few seconds at the beginning and end of the pan. The editors may decide to use one of those static portions without the pan. Don't pan too fast. What you're seeing now is a comfortable rate. If you're zooming, don't zoom too fast. After you have your establishing pictures, you'll want to pick up some closer shots. These are called medium shots. You're beginning to focus on certain actions to give the station editors a number of options of how to present the story. As you see either interesting or what appears to be particularly important points, move or zoom in to shoot close-ups. There is usually something to concentrate on in a story. Whatever you find as the individual focus point, be sure you shoot a close-up. If there's a human interest story involved, be sure to get footage.
And I just couldn't get her to come down no matter what I did. And that son of a bitch come to the end of the runway. Great. A beautiful landing and no brakes.
An example of human interest may be a heroic person on the scene. Get the action footage of the heroic deed if you can. You should understand that you will probably shoot 5 to 20 minutes of footage just so the station can use 10 to 60 seconds for a story. Here's how this story was cut for the evening news. Note how the shots were used.
Ran off the runway and came to rest on the 9th fairway of a neighboring golf course. Amazingly, no one on the ground was injured as the plane skidded across the busy street. The pilot had this to say.
Great. A beautiful landing and no brakes.
He was taken to Northridge Hospital for treatment of minor injuries. Nan Hawk was on her way to work when her camper was struck by the plane's wing.
I'm very thankful, you know. If I'd been 10 more feet up, I would be dead, I know.
Reporting from Van Nuys, this is Dan Monroe.
Now that your news clip is in the can, you'll want to find a buyer. In many major metropolitan areas, independents, in addition to local TV stations, can be found by checking your yellow pages. Try looking under news service or television broadcast stations. When you've targeted your market, you still have the option of selling to all the stations or selling an exclusive by putting your story up for bid.
If you have an exclusive, it's worth a lot more to a television station if they are the only ones who are going to air it. Thus, you should ask them for more money. If it is not an exclusive, let's say you have a traffic accident and good video of it, or a fire, make sure you shop your tape around. Often, and especially in the major markets, you'll notice that the different stations air the same video. That means they bought it from the same person, and you can multiply your profits by 8, 9 times, depending on how many stations are in that market. So do the same process, call each television station, and ask to speak to the assignment editor. Also, don't be afraid to tell him that his competitor down the street has just bought it. That can change his mind very quickly on deciding whether or not to buy your tape. News can be very valuable. At one station I worked at, we once paid $2,000 for about 30 seconds of tape.
Don't always expect to get that much. Usually you'll be paid less. The story can go for as little as $25.
A CNN news hound shoots an unexpected event. Anytime, anywhere.
We'll get a call from a news hound and respond immediately. The news hound tape can give CNN the extra edge when we can't be there ourselves.
If you see and record news on your home video camera, call 1-800-544-NEWS and become a CNN news hound.
For some people, it may not be easy to take advantage of a tragic situation like this. However, it is not immoral to record the event. After all, the historic importance may be more valuable than any money you receive for your footage.
That could have been us, but that could have been us, but we just turned around.
Generally, here is what to expect when you take your story to a station. TV stations are set up to make copies and edit programs in short order for the news broadcast. When you walk in the door, they will take your tape and copy it to their own stock. Definitely wait for your tape. Unless you've sold an exclusive, never leave your original tape with them. Wait for them to make their dub and get your original back. Remember, you're conducting a business transaction, so act businesslike when negotiating. Let's recap. Remember to shoot establishing shots, shoot medium shots, and shoot close-ups. If you're still wondering what constitutes a newsworthy story, in many smaller markets, there is a lack of footage for local stories, so minor events may make the news. Many elements and attitudes determine newsworthiness. Almost anything could air on the local show. Fires, natural disasters, crime, Or maybe something that's just unusual. The best way to find out what the stations report is to watch your local newscasts. They show you their formats daily. The real rule of thumb is, if in doubt, shoot it. Good luck, and above all, for your own safety, be very careful if you find yourself at the scene of a fast-breaking story.
I'm Bob Marshall, photography consultant to the Videomaker magazine staff. You may have seen some of my work on one of the major television network newscasts, and chances are I shot it without a tripod. Some of the shots of your lifetime are going to come when you don't have time to grab your tripod. Maybe you just don't have an opportunity to set up. Whatever, you've always got to be ready to shoot from the hip. Once, in the middle of a riot, my car was turned over and set on fire with the tripod in the trunk. It wasn't much good to me then. In this tape, we'll show you a few tricks of the trade to get smooth, steady shots under any conditions. I call it reflex shooting because it becomes second nature. You probably know some of these tricks already, but the more you use them, the less you'll have to think about them when the best shots come your way. The first thing to do is to get to know your camera all over again. Sure, there's a hand grip and a strap to hold your hand in place. That puts your thumb and fingers in position for the on-off switch and the zoom control. But that's only the beginning of the number of ways you can hold your camera. You've probably already learned how to use your free hand for extra steadiness, cupping your camcorder, especially if it's a compact model. But there are other parts of your body you can use for support too. Try crossing your legs to form a support for your camcorder. You may have to use your thumb and fingers in different ways to work the controls. The whole idea is to figure out how your camcorder can become an extension of your body to give you maximum control. Spread your feet, keep them at least shoulder width apart, maybe a little bit more, and bend your knees a little bit. That way you can absorb any sort of shocks. What's more, you shouldn't keep your elbow out here away from your body. That way your camera can wobble more. Shorten that lever by bringing your elbow in tight against your chest. That way you'll get more support. Breathe comfortably. If you start to hold your breath, you're going to wobble because you'll be struggling. And try to keep both eyes open. If you close the eye that's not glued to your viewfinder, you won't be ready for anything unexpected that comes along. Wherever you go, there are natural tripods and camera platforms all around you. You just have to know where to look for them. One of the easiest things to do is to lean into a wall like this. Rest your weight on your shoulder. That way it'll hold you in place and give you the sort of smooth, steady camera platform you're looking for. It's even better than a wall if you can find a corner like this one, because it gives you support on two sides. Your feet should go out in front. That way the weight will tend to hold you in place. And if you carry a camera case or a camera bag like this one, that can make a great camera platform, even better than your tripod, because it lets you get down low for great low-angle shots. Your zoom lens can magnify objects that are far away, bringing them up close, but it's also going to magnify any kind of shakiness in your shot. It's better to get closer to your subject and shoot on a wider angle setting. That way, your shots are going to look rock steady without using a tripod. Up until now, we've been talking about how to hold your camera steady, but there are going to be times when you want some motion in your shots, either a pan, a tilt, or a zoom. The key to getting smooth, continuous action is to practice before you actually start rolling tape. Let's take a look. Okay, Ben, are you ready? Let's go. Let's go back to that standard resting athletic position. It's the steadiest because it's what your body naturally wants to do. Use it to your advantage when you're panning. Your body wants to return to this position, so work with it, not against it. Practice your pan before you start with a smooth, even motion. Move your torso and hips, returning your upper body to that resting position. Point your feet at the place where you want to end your pan, then turn to where you want the pan to start. That way your body is doing what it wants to do naturally, returning to that straight ahead position, and you aren't fighting against your own muscles. One of the most common mistakes is using too many tilts, pans, or zooms, even a combination of the three. That's what really separates amateur video from professional work. A Pro shots will always have a clear start, middle, and ending point. Most of the time you'll want to avoid moving your camera, but there will be times when you'll want to shoot while you're in motion. You've probably seen TV news photographers do this before. We call it backpedaling. Whatever you do, don't lock your knees, stay relaxed, and think about gliding. Take complete steps, don't shuffle. Remember, when you are backpedaling, you won't be able to see where you're going, so you may want to ask a friend to guide you. Grab the back of your pants and make sure that you don't wind up running into trouble. I can't stress safety concerns enough. I still have a steel screw in my ankle from this slip and fall on an icy road in South Dakota. But don't be afraid to use your camcorder. Take it out and shoot as much tape as you can. That's the only way you'll ever become a reflex shooter. With a little bit of practice, you won't even have to look for camera platforms. They'll just pop up in front of you when you need them the most. The secret to reflex shooting is getting comfortable with your camera. You can modify all of the hints on this tape to find out what works best for you. But practice. That way you'll be ready when the shot of a lifetime comes along. And remember, if you can get there safely, you can shoot from there. For Videomaker Magazine, I'm Bob Marshall. Hey guys, how am I going to get down?
The Winter Consumer Electronics Show, held each January in Las Vegas, Nevada, is an amazing spectacle of consumer technology. With over 1,000 exhibits represented, it has outgrown even Las Vegas's vast convention center and spills over into the surrounding hotels. The 1991 Winter Consumer Electronics Show saw the introduction of a handful of revolutionary products that very well may change the way you and I make video. Videomaker was there with camcorder in hand. Here's what we saw. One such revolutionary product introduced this year was Panasonic's new video mixer, the WJ-AV-E5. It allows for glitch-free transitions and fades between two live video sources. Before the WJ-AV-E5, video makers had to fade or transition to a solid background color before switching to another video input. Mixing two different live images on the screen was impossible. Thanks to Panasonic, those days are past. The WJ-AV-E5 uses built-in digital synchronizers to eliminate the need for expensive time-based correctors or gen-lockable hardware. Any two video sources can simply be plugged into the unit via composite or YC cables. The WJ-AV-E5 offers numerous hard and soft-boarded transitions, as well as other digital effects like solarization, picture-in-a-picture, and freeze frame. At the Canon booth, a low-key baseball game gave show attendees plenty to look at with the revolutionary new L1. The first camcorder sporting the new VL mount interchangeable lens system, the Hi8 L1 ushers in a new era of camcorder design. Both 15x and 8x zoom lenses are currently available, with more specialty lenses coming soon. I've got Tim Smith here to explain to us and demonstrate the process by which the lens is removed. Tim, why don't you show us how easy it is to remove the lens?
Okay, it's very simple. The release is right on the front. Twist, and you're off.
Now the mount itself and the contacts that send the information from the lens with regard to autofocus and f-stop has been developed by a number of companies, not just Canon, from what I understand. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
It was a joint venture between Sony, Hitachi, Matsushita, and ourselves to create the VL mount, which is what it will be called. We're looking for this to be the standard in the industry as far as interchangeable lenses go.
NewTek's Video Toaster makes a stir wherever it goes. Its first Winter CES appearance being no exception. The toaster offers a 4-input video switcher with digital effects, a paint system, titler, and 3D animation. Okay, we're here at the NewTek booth at the Winter Consumer Electronics Show, and I'm with Paul Montgomery, who's going to tell us a little bit about how well the product has been received here. Paul, have you had a good number of people here coming by giving you quite a bit of feedback and quite a bit of questions?
Oh yeah, it's been great. We've had really a great response. And people have been saying more than not is this is a new product category. There's never been home TV studio before at a CES show, so that's what they're calling it. And we're very pleased. We've had SRO crowds the entire stay.
The evolution of consumer electronics technology is ever present at CES. This is Matt York reporting from the trade show floor. Well, that about does it for the first edition of Videomaker, the video series. Like our paper magazine, I'm sure that this series will change and evolve to better meet your needs. In the meantime, happy video making. I'm Matt York for Videomaker. Established in 1985, Videomaker Incorporated is the world's leading provider of information for video camera users, including video editing, desktop video, and all phases of video production using affordable consumer-level technology. Videomaker provides information with our flagship paper magazine, which is published monthly, and by modem to computer users, by audio text through a 900 number, and by videotape like this one. If you'd like to receive a copy of Videomaker's paper magazine, drop a postcard in the mail and send it to Videomaker, P.O. Box 4591, Chico, California 95927, or call us at 916-891-8410.